Our insiders today are Claude Lewis of the Philadelphia Inquirer, political activist Mary Hurtig, Brian Tierney, political analyst, and WWDB Radio's Herb Homer. And now, here is Action News senior correspondent Mark Howard.
Good morning. Last Tuesday's primary in Pennsylvania was, in many people's opinion, a referendum on the subject of abortion. Now that it's all over, we're not so sure how it turned out. Governor Casey won easily, carrying close to 80% of the Democratic votes against a very staunch pro-choice Democrat, Phil Berg, not very well known, however. Governor Casey, of course, very pro-life. There, Barbara Hafer, who also won the Republican nomination, she's pro-choice, but she only won by about 8 percentage points, 54-46, against Peg Luksick, who everybody said didn't have a chance. She did. Steve Friend, he won, but also a close one, 54-46. He's the most famous right-to-life candidate in the state of Pennsylvania, state house representative, and he wins 54-46, and that's pretty close. He has to face a Democrat in the fall. Who knows what'll come out of there? So we have some close races pro-choice, some close races pro-life. The question, Claude Lewis, when it's all the dust settled, who won it? Which side?
Very hard to tell. I think best you can say it was a mixed bag, but I would give an edge, a slight edge, to the anti-abortion people. I think that Friend and Casey and Luksick did look very good in the campaign, in the election, and I would give them the edge.
Slight edge to choice.
No, I'm sorry.
Pro-life.
Pro-life.
Anti-abortion.
That's right.
Mary Hurtig.
I disagree.
I know. I knew you would. I knew you would.
I think the gubernatorial showed us one thing, that that the Republican Party has more single-issue abortion voters. Though there were 265,000 votes for Peg Luksick, who ran on only one issue, abortion, as opposed to 181,000 Democrats who voted for Phil Berg. So on that issue, it's a sort of question mark. What does that mean? But in the state assembly, where there were Senate seats up and all of the House of Representatives seats up, the pro-choice community came out the victor. We elected Carolyn Bynum, the Republican nominee, pro-choice, defeating anti-choice opponents in Pittsburgh. We elected Pat Vance in Cumberland County as the Republican nominee in the very heart of Luksick's territory. I mean, she swept that region, and yet a pro-choice Republican survived the primary. And so that's a victory. In Montgomery County, we elected a woman defeating a anti-choice incumbent. His name is Ellen Harley. And Stephen Friend won by 54%, but only by 800 votes.
But he won.
But he won, but barely.
And he's a 14-year incumbent.
Correct,
so, yes.
And Ellen Fisher is brand new to politics and really ran on one issue and announced late, put this campaign together in 2 months. So I think Stephen Friend is very vulnerable for November.
And you say choice won.
I say indeed choice won.
Brian, what do you say?
I just don't think the facts bear that out. I think when you looked at statewide races, when you looked at Ms. Vinsky was supposed to be a big statement as to what people were saying. Well, I don't know. People sitting where you sat last week said, watch this this election, and it'll be a bellwether. Barbara Hafer got into a lot of trouble. I think where you had state legislative races, many times these are being won on other issues, incumbents who aren't very active. I know, for instance, Jim Clark was a one-term incumbent state representative. There were some other problems, perhaps, with his candidacy. So, you know, although I do get tired of the single-focus issue of single-issue candidates, and I'd hope they'd all lose, because I'm sick and tired of it.
Mm-hmm. But they can't, because they're on both sides of the same thing.
The pox on both of their houses.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I get pox on both.
Irving, what do you think?
I know one thing. I think the people of Pennsylvania lost, regardless of who won. I think the people lost because if we're focusing on one issue in the state of Pennsylvania, then we're in big trouble. There's major problems in the cities, and there's major problems in the state. Automobile insurance, AIDS, homeless, deficit spending, the whole 9 yards. And to say that abortion or pro-life is going to be the bellwether of any election really frightens the living daylights out of me. The other thing I found interesting in this election is that the parties really put money behind their candidates? A lot of the parties didn't. They didn't put a lot of support behind Barbara Hafer in the Republican Party. Casey won because he had identification. Phil Berg is a nice guy, but who knows him? I mean, he isn't known any place around. And so it seems to me that there's almost an unseen hand that says, Let's let this thing run. And little pockets of pro-life will win here, and little pockets of pro-choice will win here. But to be able to spell out the experts, the political geniuses, they're going to try to figure out this election. I don't think they've got a snowball's chance and you know where to be able to figure out this election.
Let's put it into the perspective of the people who did all the campaigning and spent all the money, and that is the Right to Life movement. They call it the pro-life movement today, the pro-choice movement today. Brian, what do you think happened to the Right to Life movement? I can tell you that Mike McMonigal, who runs the pro-life group in the Delaware Valley area, was disappointed to see the state representative in Montgomery County defeated in a primary by Ellen Hurley. He felt that that was a big loss for them. What do you think this says about that group?
I think it says that both groups are well organized. Both groups can make it happen. I mean, we're looking at, 800 votes here, 300 votes there, and we're trying to discern national trends. I don't think anybody feels any differently about this issue than they did 6 months ago. And whether or not one can get more direct mail out and happen to push more people into the voting booth one day versus another, if you actually went to everybody's home and asked their opinion, everybody feels the same way they did 6 months ago.
But if you're talking about the abortion issue, Operation Rescue may have blown up in the face of the pro-life people. Don't forget, they were on television all year around showing these rescue attempts and blocking traffic and demonstrating and lawsuits. And although it may have turned a lot of pro-life people on, it may have turned a lot of pro-choice people, a lot of pro-life people off, saying, hey, I'm pro-life, but I don't want to be associated with a bunch of radicals that are getting involved in lawsuits and blocking women's centers.
Too much. I'm pro-life. I think they overdid it in some cases.
Okay, let's look ahead to November, because Mary Hertig, you sat in this chair not too long ago and said, oh boy, Barbara Hafer, I'll mail in my vote. She's for me. She didn't do as well as you thought she would.
No, but that's within a Republican primary, which had 23% of the Republicans statewide coming out to vote.
Can she reach out and grab you and your friends?
She's going to have to address other issues, and clearly she has an edge for those of us who are so pro-choice that we're single issue. But I thought significantly, I'm going to sidestep for a moment to illustrate a point. I think that there probably are fewer single issue pro-choice people. The pro-choice, by and large, people do seem to look at issues beyond. And that's noted by the difference in the Phil Berg vote versus the Lutzig vote. But it's also noteworthy in the Harvey Rice campaign in the 2nd Senatorial District, where I saw most of the sort of activist women in Philadelphia involved in the 4th senatorial race, the Allison Schwartz race, where all 3 candidates were pro-choice.
But they wanted to elect the woman?
Correct. So what I see emerging is that even amongst those most committed to protecting a woman's right to choose, for whom that is the paramount issue, whether or not it's a woman candidate, their other credentials, whether or not they're astute on a myriad of human service issues, seems to play an equally important role.
So they don't focus as sharply and deliver.
That's my analysis now.
What about Barbara Hafer in the fall?
I knew you'd ask me about Barbara
Republican,
Hafer. I knew you'd
fundraiser, hard worker.
Right.
Yeah, what about it? Did she put it back together?
Yeah, I think she can. I think she has to avoid what happened I saw on your channel. I was watching the coverage. I always watch it on Channel 6. It's the best coverage. But anyway, that's $10. Thank you. I noticed that they were interviewing Governor Casey. Governor Casey said she's just a single-issue candidate. They cut to Barbara Hafer. They're interviewing her. What do you think of the campaign? She said what this shows is that pro-choice people have to get off their rear ends and get out there and get the vote out. Then, of course, the follow-up question was, well, now that you mentioned that, Governor Casey does say you're a single-issue candidate. Oh, no, I'm not. President Reagan was able to put together a remarkable coalition from the right all the way into the center, into blue-collar America, because he had the support of the pro-life people, he had the support of the moral majoritarians, and then he stepped away from it. He broadened it.
She's not doing it.
She's not. She keeps hitting the same singular note on her drum, and she has to build a melody.
Has to change her drum.
But isn't it true that the Republican Party only half-backed Barbara Hafer in this thing, Brian, in the first place? I mean, they backed. I mean, there was
no money, if that's what you mean.
There was an enthusiasm about her campaign last January that I think she needs to reinvigorate.
Faded a bit. We'll be right back, because we're going to try to answer the key question in Philadelphia these days, which is, as they say on television, who's the boss? Inside Story continues.
Are whites smarter than blacks? One college professor thinks so and said so to outraged college students. On the next Donahue, a shocking racial controversy. Are whites smarter than blacks? Are Asians smarter than both? Who makes these claims and what are they based on? Is this bigotry, racism, or scientific fact? Racial controversy, next Donahue.
Donahue. One word says it all.
Be sure to watch Donahue, 9 a.m. tomorrow.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Starr. Summer vacation is so close you can taste it, but you can't escape just yet. Well, then come with AM Philadelphia for an armchair tour of sunny, beautiful Bermuda. We'll start our 3-day tour with a cruise on a luxury liner connecting Philadelphia with the port and pink sands of Bermuda.
Plus 3 generations of one family, all affected by one thing, DES. I'm Wally Kennedy. Next time, meet mother, daughter, and grandson, now afflicted with cerebral palsy, all because of DES, after Donahue at 10.
Innovative. Bold. Sleek. Sexy. Cool. Mysterious. Radical. Outrageous. Evocative. See more than 150 outstanding works by contemporary Philadelphia artists on view at the Philadelphia Museum of Art through July 8th.
Some people take risks that can lead to a heart attack or stroke. Risks like smoking and ignoring high blood cholesterol and doing nothing about high blood pressure. Combine 2 or 3 of these and your chances are even worse. Why take chances? Quit smoking. Lower your cholesterol and watch that high blood pressure. That heart attack or stroke may never happen.
In Tuesday's primary in the city of Philadelphia, we had a couple of classic races that pitted one organization against another. One group was led by this man, Congressman Bill Gray. He wasn't here, but people who support him supported a couple of candidates in races against the city committee, headed by this man, Bob Brady, who last Tuesday night was happy. All 260 pounds of him, was smiling and kissing people. Before the night ended, he was a pretty unhappy fellow because he barely carried his own ward, and Carol Campbell, his anointed candidate, lost to Louise Bishop, who was supported by Bill Gray. And so we come down to the question, who's the boss? Oh, we got to start with Mary, because I know your answer.
The
like Bill Gray.
are the voters.
Oh.
Okay, surprise.
Okay.
When you field substantive candidates, you win. When you field people who have no credentials to run for public office other than being a ward leader, you lose. Bill Gray's support of Louise Bishop, she had been an incumbent state rep and had done a very good job in her first year. There was no reason for city committee to not have supported her again, except they wanted one of their own ward leaders. So clearly the voters chose. Bill Gray's name is respected, not only for what he does in Washington, but also because generally, if not every time, the candidates that he has endorsed have been substantive candidates, quality people, astute on the issues, and deserve to be in public office. So I think it's Bill Gray and his reputation nationwide that has some of the factors, but it's also that he's been known to deliver good people.
Claude Lewis.
I don't like the word boss, but I think Bill Gray has demonstrated that he is the power in town, which is probably another way of saying boss. His people won, and isn't that the measure? So I would have to say that he's leading us in this city.
Some critics have said that one of the reasons that he won, at least in the Bishop-Campbell race, was because of a rather scurrilous piece of literature that his office put out, or one of his supporters put out, accusing Bob Brady of plantation politics, rousing people on a racial issue. True?
Yeah, I think that was unfortunate, but I don't think it was typical Bill Gray politics or behavior. I don't know that he would rescind that, but I wish he would.
Well, he has explained what he meant by that, and I have used that term too loosely in the past as well. He did not mean it racially. He meant it behind closed doors.
How did he mean it, plantation?
Plantation, sort of an image of, you know, the big daddies get together and they're going to determine for the folks, and the folks are just going to go along. It was not meant in a racial way as much as it was sort of the master and then the peons underneath.
Means race.
All right.
Come on.
It became a racial issue, and I think it's a regrettable statement, but I have used that as well.
You were wrong, too.
Perhaps, and now that's come to public attention, so we shouldn't use that image again, but it was not intentionally stated in a racial way originally.
In all fairness.
Think of how you would attack somebody else who used that kind of an image. I mean,
Both
it's just
of the candidates in that race were black, and it was meant to I think the implication of it was...
But she got support of white men like Bob Brady, and that was meant to be that was a reason you shouldn't vote for that
And there was
person.
literature that showed a white slave owner.
Well, I've also
whipping
understood
somebody,
that that's what's been reported in the press. I've not seen the piece of paper. Have any of you?
I haven't seen it.
Well, I would say that those of you in the media should have taken the time to look at it. My understanding is there is no master whipping slaves, that there is a small line of people in chains, but there is no white master.
Oh, that's
But
fair.
I can't appreciate it.
You want to let her get away with this? Wait a minute.
Get back to the
No, I want to get back to this. Go ahead,
That's
Claude.
a subtlety I can't appreciate.
Fine.
No whips, but chains.
Come on.
It's a
Just for the
1990
record.
kind of
better
image.
Well, wait. But we're also saying there was no white slave master.
Okay, Irv,
Okay.
go ahead.
Well, the white slave master was identified by Brady, but Bill Gray has three things going for him. Number one, Bill Gray is a national figure that enjoys a popular reputation. Number two, he's got God on his side right from the pulpit, and Brady doesn't. And number three, the fact is that with the problems that the city is having right now, with city council wanting to raise taxes and unearned income and everything else, Bill Gray doesn't threaten the people like that. So naturally, with those three things going, Bill Gray can enjoy that power of national politics against local flunkies, and local flunkies will always lose out. And I agree with Mary, chains or not. I don't know whether you're into chains or whips or whatever this thing is, but the fact of the matter is that you can't put in unviable candidates against qualified people and win.
We also got the impression, I think, if you read between the lines, that some people felt that the powers that be should be thrown out, Claude. Did you get a sense that this was a, hey, this city committee has run the city long enough, the council members have run it long enough?
Clearly.
Sure.
Clearly.
Vote for the outsider.
I think people are fed up and they wanted some new leadership, some new faces and names. And
There's no
And what can Brady deliver to the city financially that Bill Gray can deliver to the city?
There's no real stature to him. I mean, Bill Gray does genuinely stand up and it is a more positive visual image than the others that seem to be kind of clamoring around the city. Also, you can't underestimate the power of Bill Gray to raise money, and in politics, being able to support financially, not just the finest human beings, Mary, that you pointed out, but being able to give them the money to win the election is very important, too.
Step aside for a moment. The other race that Bill Gray is associated with is the 4th senatorial, the Joe Rock's opponent's race, where we had 3 candidates vying for the Democratic nomination. There, the candidate that is supposed to be Bill Gray's candidate was Allison Schwartz. But indeed, that was a product of the Northwest Alliance, and that's a very strong alliance. It's got Marion Tasco, Dwight Evans,
Mary Hertig,
Roxanne Jones, and Bill Gray. And in that race, it was clearly Marion Tasco's call, Marion Tasco's organization, Marion Tasco's work, and Allison Schwartz's superb candidacy and her money.
And one
Bill
footnote
Gray's
to
money
all of
is
this.
not
One
in that.
footnote to all of this. We got to point out. He did also support Pat Bell, who ran against Ruth Harper.
He did not.
I saw the literature. I have a letter with his name on it.
Well,
did he denounce it? Did he deny it?
I asked that specific
Yeah.
question, was told that he did not enter that race at all.
Okay. I'll save the letter. I'll mail it to you.
Or mail it to him, and
okay.
maybe it's on without his knowledge.
Oh, okay. Now, moving on to the other question that grows out of this is, what about next year's mayoral race in all of this? Now, clearly, the congressman has been quietly supporting George Burrell, raising money for him, etc. Lou Blackwell is described by some as the front runner, at least till recently, running against Burrell. I talked to Burrell last Tuesday night. I got the impression that he's kind of happy about all this. Listen to what he said.
Bill Gray is a powerful politician. He has been, he is, and he will be. And we have demonstrated, I think, to the Democratic Party, you've got to start choosing candidates who are quality people, who are quality candidates, and who stand for some substantive change in our party.
And you might try to do it again next year.
We'll see what happens next year.
You know what he wants to happen next year, of course. Claude, the key question is, he has been declared not the front runner. He's trying to raise money. George Burrell, Lou Blackwell is the front runner. What do you think is going to happen there? Is Bill Gray going to be able to get his man in?
I think Bill Gray can do pretty much what he wants to do, and I think that Burrell is a pretty good man. He's not well known enough, and I don't think he has the background that most people look for mayor. But if Bill Gray wants it, I think he has the power to push it through.
Irving, what do you see?
I think that George Burrell may have a good shot, and I'll tell you why. Because City Council, if you take a look at the makeup of it, is made up of a lot of political activists. Franny Rafferty was a street activist. John Street was a street activist. And now we're getting to a point in politics, I think, where we're starting to look for quality candidates to run government. We found out that the political activist and the guy that raises Cane on the corner is not qualified to be mayors. And it's a strong possibility that Burrell's got a good shot. I think that's what the people are looking for.
People will turn to a law firm like they used to do.
Well, that's right.
In the old days.
George Burrell was deputy mayor under Bill Green. Let's not forget that. I would call that quite good experience and training for the job.
Deputy mayor?
He was deputy mayor or assistant
I know
mayor.
that he was, but you think that's good experience to be mayor?
I think he knows the ins and outs of how to run a city government. It remains to be seen how powerful Bill Gray's endorsement will be in the mayor's race.
So far, he's only spoken out, as near as I can tell, on one issue in this year's budget fight, and that is that he says we should raise taxes. And I'm not sure that that's a good start, but...
I think he showed incredible political courage by making an announcement.
Whenever a Democrat raises taxes, it's political courage. When a Republican does it, he's a lying cheat. But I think that George Burrell has a very good shot at it. I used to think that Burrell would have a problem because in the end the party wasn't going to turn itself over to Bill Gray. It shows, I think, what this election shows is the rest of the party's not too strong. And in a multi-candidate primary, if there's 3 or 4 or 5 candidates, Bill Gray supporting George Burrell and getting 28, 29% could be enough to get the nomination.
This comes down to money, doesn't it?
Yeah, it comes down to money, and unless the Republican Party suddenly rises up from the ashes and says to take advantage of this political split between the Democrat Party and not, I don't know whether the Republican Party in Philadelphia is that powerful enough to launch a real strong campaign by putting, say, Castile into the fight.
How about this inside story? Last week, the day before the election, somebody said that John White, who's the welfare secretary of the state of Pennsylvania, has told friends that on November 4th, the day after the election, when he assumes Governor Casey will be reelected, he will resign from that job, and he will run for mayor of Philadelphia. Possibility?
Well, that rumor has circulated about every 3 months. I've heard the same rumor with the same timetable. And I think John has always been interested in being mayor, but I think the clock's ticking. And you got to line up your support early and start to raise your money. John would be an attractive candidate. He's still well enough known, but not very well known in the city of Philadelphia. He's a good speaker. But again, John's natural constituency is the northwest section of the city. And the Northwest Alliance seems pretty solidly George Burrell territory, with Dwight Evans, Marion Tasco, Roxanne Jones, who've all worked together now in this latest election so cooperatively that I would say it may be a little too late by November.
Time's almost up. Sammy Davis Jr. died this week. You wrote a great column about him. Cigarettes. And people say it's time we do something about it.
He smoked 40 cigarettes a day for 30 years, and Sammy was a mess when I saw him. And when he died, I think he was about 60 pounds. No question about it. Cigarettes are killers, and we have to admit that.
Anything we can do about it?
I doubt it.
Outlaw.
I think we're doing plenty about it. We have education. We all know it's bad, and people make free decisions to drink, to smoke, to eat things that probably aren't healthy.
And to die.
And to die. And that is something that we want to, I think, in the end, not infringe. This is still a country where you can make decisions.
Oh, I want to infringe on that.
You'd like to?
I'd like to stop people from doing it.
Last word, quicker.
No, let people smoke if they want to, and if they want to die at 64, they can die at 64. I'm tired of government telling me you can't do this and you can't do that.
It's not education. It's good sense,
okay, well, if people don't have good sense, they have a right to... You know, one of the freedoms, Claude, in America is the freedom to be stupid.
You got the last word on that. We'll be back in a minute with the last word for the day. The Inside Story is coming right up.
Winner of 5 Academy Awards, including Best Picture, Best Actress.
Why should I be happy about being a grandmother?
And Best Supporting Actor.
I was just inches from a clean getaway.
America laughed, cried, and fell in love with this movie classic.
Would you like to come in?
I'd rather stick needles in my eyes.
Shirley MacLaine, Jack Nicholson, and Deborah Winger. Terms of Endearment.
Tonight on your $1 Million Movie Station, Channel 6.
For those of you who have been reluctant to wear a hearing aid, Miracle Ear has more great news. If you have trouble hearing in noisy situations, the exciting Miracle Ear Clarifier may be your answer. The Clarifier features a special filter that automatically reduces background noise.
In a restaurant situation, it picks up the noises I want to hear, but the other noises are just moved off into the background.
If you or someone you know thinks they may be suffering from hearing loss, call Miracle Ear at this number and receive helpful information.
It really makes a lot of difference in your way of hearing and your way of life.
Call this number. Miracle Ear will send you a booklet on better hearing, plus a coupon for a free hearing test. Call today. Learn about all the good news from Miracle Ear.
A lot of people don't even know you got it, especially the one I got, the design that I got.
Call this number. Find out if Miracle Ear can help you.
People are coming from everywhere to play the $10 million blockbuster video game. Because the more you play, the more you can win. Win instantly or collect game pieces to win. Trips to the new Universal Studios Florida where you can see the stars and ride the movies. With transportation by U.S. Air, America's most frequent flyer. Or up to $100,000 in cash. Millions of prizes in the $10 million blockbuster video game. Drop in and play. Blockbuster video. Wow, what a difference.
Now it's time for the last words, those inside stories of the week, the little something you may not have thought about. Mary, what do you have for us?
My inside story is a sweet anecdote that I hope will be a lesson for Bob Brady and the Democratic Party on an effective strategy for getting your candidate elected. Last Sunday was Mother's Day, and it was 2 days before the Pennsylvania primary. Dwight Evans, who's his state rep and the leader of the 10th Ward, sent to each of his Democratic committee women a bouquet of flowers with the following message. Happy Mother's Day. Please help me to elect another mother, Allison Schwartz, to the state Senate on Tuesday. Well, Allison Schwartz won the primary, and if she survives the general election in November, she will join 2 other women to become the 3rd mother in the state Senate. So, Bob Brady, maybe flowers are a more effective tool than street money and backroom deals and angry words.
Mm-hmm. Claude, what do you have for us?
I'd just like to take a bit of time and say a special salute to Sammy Davis, who was, I think, a great man and a great American. And the thing I like most about him is he cared about all Americans, all people throughout the world. And he lived his life that way. I think he was a thoroughly decent, human, warm, and loving man. And I'm going to miss him. I'm sure the rest of America will miss him. Black and white America will miss him as well.
We're really lucky. We have tapes and records and compact discs, and we can listen to him for years to come. Irving.
My inside story is that 16 years ago, a former city councilman by the name of Izzy Bellis walked off with $46,000 and ended up in Florida as penalty, and now he wants to be pardoned. Well, pardoned for what? Living in Florida and enjoying the sun? I say no. No pardon for Izzy Bellis and any other scurrilous council person or politician that steals.
I think the state of Pennsylvania already said no.
They did, and I agree with them.
Well, pardon me. Brian.
I know you all think I'm kind of a traditionalist, okay? But I think this is one you'll agree with me as well. The city of Pittsburgh wants to move the 4th of July celebration to July 3rd, believe it or not. They want to save $23,000 in overtime pay and by moving it there. So now thousands of dollars of plans in terms of hotels having big events that day and people planning that picnics, all that'll be over. The fireworks, the parade will happen on the 3rd. You know, so often we look at Pittsburgh when we're looking at Philadelphia and say, don't they do it better there? I guess this is one instance where they don't. Our city, thank God, has a wonderful 4th of July plan with even Jimmy Carter coming to town to receive a medal. And I just think it's nice to have certain traditions always remain the same. So let Pittsburgh do it on the 3rd, and we'll do it on the 4th.
All right, Brian, thank you. Thank you all. We'll be back next week, same time, with another edition of Inside Story. Have a good week.